All right, we have Alex Highsmith and Aaron Rodgers before we hop into the locker room.
Alex, how do you explain like the defense being so dominant? I think you've had your struggles and yet sacks, the takeaways, shutting down a high-powered team.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'll go to God for the win. I think we just came out and we did what we know we can do this week. We came out and we stopped the run. That's where it starts. And then our culture came alive. We had, 5 turnovers, I think? 6.
So, well, 5 by the
when
defense.
We do that, man, we're an amazing defense. And so we just got to put more performances like that together. And I'm confident we're going to continue to stack this and play like this every week from here on out. So we just got to continue to play like that.
Really well was like take Jones's eyes away and bat the ball a few times. You're often very good at that, but it sort of waned these last couple of weeks when you're getting beat with the quick passing game. Was that a point of emphasis this week?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew that if we stopped their run when they were in second long, they were going to try to get the back on schedule, the rhythm passing, quick game. So I think we did a good job of getting our hands up. One of them led to a pick. So I think we just did a good job of just recognizing when they were in those quick game formations and then executing, getting tip balls, relating to guys in those zones. So I think we executed that plan.
How much does it fire you guys up when you're getting so many contributions, so many splash plays from guys across the board defensively? How much do you feed on that?
I mean, it's awesome. We know that whenever we are creating turnovers, whenever our culture comes alive, everybody feeds off that. And I think these last couple of weeks, we hadn't got any turnovers, and we weren't really feeding off of each other. But we know that to be a great defense, you got to be a defense that plays with energy, plays with passion, and so we did that today. Obviously, they still had 20 points on the board, which is something we can't let happen. So we just got to get back in the film room and see what happened towards the end of the game. But like I said, I'm just proud of these guys and just proud of the way that we just responded, because like I said, the past couple of weeks have been not our standards. So the way we responded today, I think, shows how resilient we are as a unit.
Alex, to that point, TJ's play started it. So when that happens as a defense, is that you guys talking? Does it bring confidence? Like, how does that start the snowball?
I think we always say they come in bunches. So usually I feel like if we have a turnover in a game, we usually have multiple. So I think his started it off, and then we just kept feeding on from that, kept feeding on energy. So we just got to continue to do that week in, week out.
So what went into stopping Jonathan Taylor? He came in this game. He was on pace to put up historic numbers this season. What went into stopping him today?
I mean, I think we had a good plan going into it, but at the end of the day, the plan don't work unless we go out there and execute it, and unless we're going out there and being physical, getting off blocks, making plays, and we did that. So we went out there, we got off blocks, we made tackles, and so that's where it started.
Alex, was that priority number one, stopping him?
Absolutely, because we know that when their offense is rolling, just watching their film, we knew that if they get started with that run game, they're a dangerous offense. So they are a really good offense, but we had to make sure that he wasn't running that ball today.
Surprised at all they threw so many times on their first 2 possessions?
No, I mean, I think early in the game we saw that they were trying to they would take shots to try and start the game off well. So I think we did a good job just coming out, and so we just got to finish better. Like I said, 7 points at the end of the first half. They shouldn't have had 20, so we just got to finish better.
How much of an added spark did it provide having the 05 Super Bowl team here and all the celebrations with them?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. You see guys like that. Those are legends in the black and gold. And so when you see guys like that, you see guys in this Steel fraternity. It adds a little emphasis to the game. And so seeing all those guys yesterday at the walkthrough and stuff like that was really cool. And so I think just added some extra juice to our performance.
Alex, I'm sure it's been a frustrating year with the injury and everything. That play, the strip sack you had, what does that do for you? Kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely. It brings a lot of confidence. I just continue to still believe in who I am as a player, who I am as a rusher, and so just knowing that my identity is in the Lord and in Him alone, and so just continuing to know who I am week in, week out, and continue to just do what I can to help this team win. And so I retweaked it in the first quarter, but I just want to get back out there and fight. I was feeling it for the rest of the game, but I just want to get out there and just be able to make a spark, make plays for my team.
Think you're gonna be all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be good. So. Like I said, we'll see what happens this week, but I'll definitely be good.
When Peyton's playing with that type of confidence, what does it do for your defense?
Yeah, Peyton's a heck of a player. He's only getting better and better week in, week out, and so for him to make those plays that he did today, and also being our special teams captain, it just shows how he's growing as a player and as a leader. So he's going to be a special player for us.
You mentioned resiliency. Just how would you describe the resilience of this defense?
Yeah, just not listening to the noise, just staying locked in, knowing that we have the players on our defense, to be able to be one of the best in the league. And so we just got to play like it week in, week out. We got to create turnovers just like we did. And so we just got to continue to build on what we did today.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so actually shout out to Peyton Wilson, who had a phenomenal game. And he was actually named the special teams captain for the remainder of the year, with Miles Killebrew out for the season with his injury. Yes, hi, hello, hi, I know. Oh, this is our 11-week-old puppy. This is Ollie. He's a Maltese Boston Terrier mix. So, yes, I know. So, he's been cuddling with me while I've been doing all these videos. So, I gotta take him out soon. Once I'm done. Actually, maybe even before I'm done. I might do it before Tomlin's press conference for the Chargers game. But leading up to it. So, yes, great game by Peyton. God, who else had a good game? Jack had the interception. 5-star. Good to hear that Alex will be okay as far as his injury is concerned. And, if he has to be limited for part of the week, so be it. Or, if he ends up on the injury report, but he's a full participant, he'll be okay. He'll be fine. But, TJ had the strip sack. He had a strip sack. Jack with the interception, Peyton Wilson with the interception, Joey with the interception. Can we have Super Bowl teams come every week? I don't care if they're the 70s guys or the 05, the 09. Can we just have legends every single week from the Steelers? Can we just do that? Because there's just some kind of energy they provide. But also, Aaron will talk about it, but apparently Jalen Ramsey spoke Saturday night before the game and kind of rallied the troops. So we'll hear Aaron talk about that a little bit, but yeah, good performance by the defense. But yeah, you got to try to, if you're going to have 6 total turnovers, 5 by the defense, 1 on special teams, you've got to, 20, if it had been 45-20, then that's fine, but you obviously want to limit them as little as possible in terms of scoring points when they turn the ball over that much. But let's hear what Aaron had to say.
Okay. Big group.
Aaron, when you're playing
What the hell was that?
a team like that you know can score points, how important is it to convert those turnovers into touchdowns, which you did 3 straight times?
Did we really? Yeah. Well, we started off pretty slow. I mean, it was pretty ugly on offense for a decent part of the day. Had a lot of chances. But our defense played incredible, after getting blasted for the last week. Really proud of them. Thought the energy was great. But there was a good message last night by Jalen, and I think the guys responded well.
Following up on that, Aaron, after the muff punt, I think you scored on every one of the next 4 that you got, the turnovers. What did you like, first of all, about your execution and the play calling as well that came in those situations?
Oh, I love the play calling. I thought the execution was pretty bad. We got to look in the mirror and play better on offense, because that's not good enough. Any phase, the run game, catching the football, defense played incredible, and we got to put game like that. We got to put 35, 42 on the board and close the game out. So good tape for coaching staff when you win a game and you got a lot to work on.
Aaron, specifically with TJ, when he makes that play, what kind of wave did that give?
I think that was a turning point in the game for sure. 7-0, they were driving. We ended up turning that into 7, I believe. So that was good. It wasn't a pretty drive. We had a 4th and 1 conversion, but that changed the game 100%. From that point forward, I thought the pass rush was outstanding. I thought we covered well on the back end. Got to give Kyle a lot of credit for coming in here and playing the way he did. But I felt like it seemed like Alex and TJ and Nick were super active, and their inside guys were good, and it seemed like BQ had a good game, and Peyton had a big pick. So everybody on defense played great. Got to give Five a lot of credit for his leadership the last 24 hours. And, I haven't seen the film, but just the eye test, felt like he was in the right place at the right time on defense, and we were opportunistic and really proud of those guys. And we did just enough on offense. But play calling was solid. I love the personnel mixture, the play calling at various times in those possession downs, but the execution was pretty bad.
Anyone else?
Aaron, Ben said you guys had a conversation before the game, not asking what you guys said, but what do you respect about him as a quarterback as they celebrate one of his Super Bowls here?
I was wondering if you're talking about Skronik. I was like,
Oh.
talk to Ben? What the hell is Ben saying? Big Ben. Yeah. I've known Ben for years and years and years, going back to, the early Tahoe days, and he was picked in the draft before me.
The year
So
before.
obviously knew about his game, and we played a long time. Only got to play each other a couple times, but a lot of respect for him and his career, what he accomplished. They won the Super Bowl in his second year?
Yep. Your
It's
first
pretty-
year.
Yeah, it's pretty
his
impressive.
second.
Then the first year they won a bunch of games too. He's
15
kind of
and
a
1.
standard, like him and Marino, until I guess maybe I'm missing one or two, but it seemed like him and Marino and maybe Jaden last year, 3 quarterbacks you think about having success in a rookie year. So one of my favorite, as a fan of the game, because I am, Big Ben moments was the drive in the Super Bowl against Arizona, coming down and hitting Santonio right in the corner of the end zone.
Yep.
Beautiful pass and
Versus
great
Arizona.
touchdown.
Yep.
But I enjoyed watching him play over the years, because he wasn't the fastest guy, but he's hard to take down. He was always swinging that ball around, keeping the plays alive, and it's fun.
Oh, the
This is-
memories.
This is a Big Ben team. I'm just happy to be a part of the organization now.
Calvin, he gave a lot. He said it's really motivating to know that the way that you can work the ball to whoever throughout any read on any play,
Right.
what you see from your guys and their effort to fight through, even when they're not the primary read. It seems like all 5 guys that you have are fighting to get open.
Well, that's how they got to do it. I always tell them, I said, you got to run it like the ball's coming your way every play. And I was proud of Cal, proud of the tight ends. Darnell had basically that one drive where he had a bunch of catches on it. He's been a weapon for us. We got to get that fixed there in the red zone so we can connect on that for a touchdown. But I just love his attitude. When he's on the field, we're a better team. So I think you guys have talked about it. We've talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. When 80's on the field, we're a better offense. So I'm really proud of his effort every single week. I thought the
think
line
so,
blocked
too.
really well. I kind of walked into 1 sack. Obviously had to take a sack on the last play when Calvin fell down to keep the 40 seconds on the clock. But other than that, I felt like they played really well in the pass game. We didn't run the ball as well as we wanted to, but they got a good front. And we had to kind of dink and dunk them at times.
And the
Just
red
had
zone
said
pass.
that Aaron, a
that-
couple defensive players said they felt like they were bringing a different energy in practice this week going into this game. Did you notice a sense of urgency or more aggression, more energy throughout practice this week?
No, I didn't. But I noticed that something kind of changed last night when Jalen spoke. And it's not easy to speak in front of the team even when you're a player. It's unnatural. I think coaches are used to it because they do it every single day, and Mike is fantastic at it. But Jalen kind of went on and had the attention of the room, and he said some really, really good stuff. I'm not going to get into it because I feel like that it's kind of need to know information. But it was meaningful to
That
me.
deserves
on
to
the
be
offensive side,
personal
I
and
feel like
intimate
we had a
with the-
different
with
energy
the-
in the locker room
the
today.
team.
Now, all week, I don't pay super tight attention to that side of the ball at all times in practice, but I do feel like in the locker room pregame, there was a different energy for us, and they played really well.
Just how hard is it for a guy like Kyle to come in on Thursday, 2 practices, play full load of snaps, and what can you say about doing that on such a short notice?
I've got to give him a lot of credit as a professional. That's hard to do. I've seen a lot of transactions over the years, and I always feel like if you can put your arms around that guy right away, you got a good chance of him kind of jumping on board. And I felt like in Green Bay we were really good at that. You know, we had some misfits in 2010 that other teams kind of cast off, and we kind of brought him into the fold and did something special. And he's a guy like that too. You know, he went from making money and being a starter to being out of the rotation. And I saw him in the weight room on Wednesday and chatted him up, and felt like the guys kind of just brought him in and said, "You're our guy." So go out there and just be yourself and have fun. But it is not easy to do that at all. And I give him a lot of credit as a professional, and glad he's with us.
You mentioned a couple times kind of not riding the roller coaster, but after the adversity you guys have faced the last 2 weeks, how would you describe the resiliency of this team?
Yeah, I mean, we lost a couple where we had legitimate chances to win. But it's a crazy league. I saw the scores, and Carolina beat Green Bay today at Lambeau, I believe. And Chicago had a comeback win after giving up 42 points.
Yep.
Minnesota beat Detroit, I believe, too.
Yep.
Anything can happen. That's what the league wants. There's a great parity to it. You got to deal with adversity.
You brought up all the NFC North
teams.
teams.
This was a really important win for us, though, to not lose 3 in a row, to not go to 1-3 at home.
Anyone else notice that?
And to kind of get that big elephant that was starting to try and jump on the backs of the defense, which is made up of media and, you know, outside conversation about them. So we're all human, and I think those guys felt, you know, pretty upset, had a little red ass about what's been going on. So I'm proud of them, the way they came back and responded.
Even after one of Boswell's field goals, it seems as though you had a long conversation with him. Would you be able to share that conversation as far as what you were saying?
Nope.
On the field or on the sideline?
On the field.
I didn't talk to Mason Crosby a lot over the years before the kick. And so I've been kind of staying away from Boz because he's been so incredible. It's like talking to a pitcher or a no-hitter. But he made a comment last week that I don't say anything to him when I run off the field. I'm just mad that we're kicking. And I said, I said, the only time I'd be happy is going from 2 scores to 3 late in the game. So I think that may have been on the kick where it went to 27-10. And I also told him that, you know, he's been kind of missing me after I go out to dap up the lineman for blocking and stuff, and he kind of just runs off, you know, and doesn't give me any love. So he made a point this game to come over and dap me up. So that's probably what we were talking about.
You were crediting Darnell earlier for his work, but what have you seen from him that's improved, especially from the route running standpoint, to set up windows for you to target him in?
Yeah, it's really that. It's the attention and practice to kind of taking your time, especially in the group work, like just working on being deliberate but patient with his route running. He's just such a big body, you know. I just want to throw it up to him. And unfortunately, we had a couple of plays we've been working on for weeks that we called today that went to him that didn't work. So I'm pretty upset about that. But
keep working.
You know, Fredo was like, "Hey, thanks. You know, I'm glad you went back to Darnell." I said, "Of course." I said, "He's a damn good player, and he needs the ball. And when he gets the ball, good things happen. He's got great hands, and he's good after the catch. And he had that one drive was really important, him kind of getting us going."
And when a guy like Jalen stands up and talks as he did, and then he goes out in the game and plays another position for the entire game, I mean, is that just kind of even validated or justified even more, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think he played with an edge, too. That's the only little peek into the conversation last night was that he wanted us to play with that edge on defense. I didn't feel like we were doing that enough. And they played with an edge today for sure. So, you know, I'm really thankful that Jalen's here and that he felt comfortable speaking up, and then the guys responded the right way.
2 more.
Or no
0.
more.
No more.
Okay.
Oh, that was funny. that was kind of funny. 2 more. All right, maybe no more. 0 more. Oh, that's a good laugh. Okay. So yeah, I completely agree with keeping what Jalen Ramsey had to say. Between the guys. That should be a private thing, and I hope that it is not just a 1 week boost. I hope that speech carries on for weeks, and the guys keep going to it and drawing from that for motivation. Darnell, great player. He is really starting to develop into a really good player. And I do think he needs to be used more. He is one of those guys that he's kind of like just a unicorn in the NFL. You have a few guys where they have a certain trait or they have traits that make them more difficult to defend. Sometimes it's speed, sometimes it's acceleration, sometimes they have a really good stop and like cut or turn, do whatever. Like, if they're great at route running, whatever. They have something about them, and it makes them hard to defend. And for Darnell, it's his size. And there was one pass he caught towards the end. And, God, I'm trying to remember where he was standing. He might have been at like the 5-yard line. And he was like fighting, trying to break free. And he eventually just said, fuck it. I'm going to get as many yards as I can. And he took the ball, put it forward. And I think he literally went to, God, was it the 1? It couldn't have been the 1 because from the 5 to the 1 is 4 yards. That's 12 feet. It could have been to the 2, but from the 5 to the 2, or maybe it was the 4 to the 1. But he legit was just like, all right, screw this. And he got that ball as far as he could. And he's just a problem. He is a matchup problem. And he needs to be utilized. Now, I know, we paid Pat, we paid Jonnu, right? So it's okay, you want to use those guys. But now you're in a 3 tight end set, and yes, you could split a guy out wide, you can do whatever. But, you have 3 tight ends on the field, you're 5 offensive linemen, that's 8 right there, you got your quarterback 9. So are you going to put 2 receivers out there? Are you going to put a receiver and a running back? So then you're 13 personnel. Are you going to go 3 personnel? 0-3. What are you doing right now? So there are several different ways to go about it. Like I've said, you can't play 15 guys on offense. If you want to play Darnell and Jonnu and Pat, guys are not going to get the number of snaps you want, But, if they can just carry this with them, take this momentum and go with it, then there's potential. But if they go to LA, which, it's going to be another home game, but if they go to LA and fall flat on their faces again, I don't know what we're going to do here. And one other note with Jalen playing safety, right? Last year, the Ravens settled down the defense by telling Kyle Hamilton, you are going to be our deep safety. You are the one that's going to keep everything under control. And I think that's kind of what Jalen did. He was the guy back there to keep everything under control. I wish we still had Minka. He could do that, but he's not here anymore. And per NFL rules, the last I was aware of, you can't be traded from one team to another and back to that original team in one season. Now, could it go like Pittsburgh to Miami to Colts to Pittsburgh? Yes. Now the trade deadline has passed and he was not traded. But you could, in theory, do that. Now the season's over. So after the season, he could be traded from Miami to Pittsburgh. I don't know what his contract situation's like, but who knows? Maybe if the contract runs out, maybe he says, fuck this, I'm going back up to Pittsburgh. All right, we're going to have TJ Watt, Peyton Wilson probably. All it says is Wilson. I would assume it's Peyton. Joey Porter Jr., Cam Hayward probably. Kyle Duggar, Jack Sawyer, and Eccles. Wait, defense? It's all defense in here. All right, let's go.
Stressing turnovers. You guys haven't had any in 3 games, and today you have 6. How does that happen?
Start with smashing the run first and foremost, getting one-dimensional, and just putting our ears back and going. Playing fast, playing physical football, playing simplified football allows us to make more plays.
Was that the key, just being aggressive?
Part of it, yeah. I mean, guys being in their gap and everything also helps. Offense moving like they were helps. We just got to be, those opportunities have been there. It's just making those plays when they come.
I feel like maybe the attitude is, not the attitude, but everyone says not to ride that roller coaster. Do you feel like there's a better feeling in here after a win like this?
Absolutely. Wins are hard to come by in the NFL, especially against a good team like that. So we're happy about the win, but we have a lot of good film to watch.
TJ felt like you guys were obviously more aggressive, and that was one of the keys here today. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel like we really honed in this week, kept it a little simple, and guys were just flying around and being aggressive, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to be a part of.
You mentioned the different energy today. Is that something you felt all week long that was different?
Yeah, and it sucks because you don't want it to be like that. You want that every single week, and that's what we have to continue to do. It can't be, we got our butts kicked 2 weeks in a row, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and then we're like, now we come to play. We have to do this every single week, and like I said, there's still so much to improve on that, we're going to get back in the lab, and we're going to continue to get better and continue to play.
Does it mean a little bit more doing it against this offense, the best offense in the NFL right now?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but that's the product we want every single week, no matter who we're playing. The people we have in here, obviously everyone knows some of these guys are the best in their position for long, long time. So we want to be doing that against every offense, not high 1 week, low 1 week. No matter who it is, that's how we should look.
We just had to get back to playing our ball. We got to obviously maximize on this opportunity and keep pushing forward next week.
What does that mean? TJ talked a little bit about being more aggressive, and that was one of the big keys here today.
We just got to continue to find our hunger, find our niche, and, continue to work together. That's basically all that come down to it. We had some new pieces come in, obviously this week. And, we obviously did a good job, communicating, make sure everybody was on the same page. And, that's what we got to continue to do moving forward.
You guys haven't had turnovers in 3 weeks, and you get 6 today. How does that even happen?
Starts at practice for one. We talk about it, go out to practice, work on turnovers, constantly do it, it just becomes second-hand nature so we could go to the game and capitalize.
No turnovers the last 3 games. You guys had 6 today. You had 1 of them. How do you do that? How does that happen?
I left some out there, so I'm pretty mad about that, but I'm just glad that we was all flying around, making plays and getting turnovers. I feel like that's what we was missing these past 2 weeks. We didn't have no turnovers on defense. We had 6 today, so I feel like that was a real main factor.
What was the key?
What does it say about this defense that you're able to do this down so many safeties and dealing with injuries coming into this one?
That's really just a shout out to Five and Duggar. Duggar just came in this week. He had to learn a lot of the playbook, and he came out and he did what he had to do. So it was really hats off to him. Five haven't played safety in college, so the fact that he played a whole game of safety, shouts out to them boys. They had us in the right checks all game, and it really couldn't happen without them.
So is there a big difference you noticed in practice this week, something that might have been different from the last few?
Not really. We always fly around with urgency, but it was really just a lock-in point for us. I feel like we all knew what we had to do on the field and what we're capable of. And we was really just talking about going back to that steel curtain, that gritty, that mean mouth football that we're trying to get back and trying to find. And we're looking for that, and we're finding that slowly.
What was the difference today? Because TJ mentioned that you guys were a little more aggressive, and he thought that was the key.
Yeah, I just thought the key was getting back to who we were and playing with aggression and having fun and celebrating as a team and obviously when turnovers happen they come in bunches, so it was really cool to see and be a part of.
Does it feel a little bit better?
What was the message and what was the message and the focus in practice and in the locker room this week?
Yeah, I mean just that. Just we got to come out and play our brand of football and have fun and let it loose and let it fly. Don't overthink too much and trust your instincts. Read your keys and then go out there and let it fly and let it all hang out like I was telling him. And I think we did that, and it shows in the turnovers that we had.
You feel a little bit better doing it against the best offense in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Jonathan Taylor and those guys have been playing out of their minds. Being able to do it against them, really, should spring us on to, continue those type of performances.
Cam, a lot of talk was said about trying to take away the first read of this offense. What did you guys have to do that consistently in this game?
I don't know about the first read. I just thought we took away the run game. It allowed us to, make them feel uncomfortable and go to their passing game early. Even if, they picked up a lot of yards on first down there in the pass, we were able to mitigate the run and, have 11 guys really focused in on that.
They haven't played from behind a whole lot. Do you feel like the game changed when you get those 2 turnovers, 2 touchdowns in the second quarter there and made them chase you a little bit?
Yeah, I think the turnovers played a huge factor. We got pressure early, and, we really, put our foot on the gas with that. When you do that, it makes the team one-dimensional, and it felt like they were just playing hurry up the entire game.
I know you probably say you play week to week, but was it nice to get this one just to get that good feeling back?
Yeah, to go 1-0 this week is all we're asking for, and that's what I told the guys. Now we got to reset it, go on to the Chargers, but after the last 2 games, you just want to clean up your play and be a lot better. And I thought we had a lot more energy today, and kudos to our guys.
How do you kind of compartmentalize maybe to be able to go out there and play as much as you did on just really 2 practices?
I think it had everything to do with my coaches, the coaches in the team, and my teammates. Kind of making things, kind of the terminology as far as like what I used to play and just kind of matching it up and marrying it up for me and just kind of simplifying it in meetings and then communicating on the field in practice. Every rep counted, and just putting in a ton of work and talking to them every play and things like that made it simple for me.
I saw Jalen talking to you out there on the field, and then when you went to the sideline, Juan would come over and help you. How did those 2 guys kind of really help you pick up this defense quickly and play?
It was everything. Like I said earlier, my teammates, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Every play, talking, practice was the same way. Talking, communicating, explaining things, play to play. Before the snap, we get the call. We're going over, what we got to do and things like that. And communication is the key to great defense and great team.
All right, so yeah, besides Jarrell Peppers being a translator for Kyle Duggar, trying to get the New England defense translated to the Pittsburgh defense. It was really everybody that was helping out both in practice, in the game. And that's the thing, is he's learning on the fly. So it really is impressive what he was able to do. The fact that you didn't really notice him getting burned, multiple times a game. And he's chasing a guy down, or he misses a huge tackle, or I shouldn't say, he misses multiple huge tackles, because a guy can miss a tackle one time. Like, you obviously want to be perfect, but it is impressive what Kyle was able to do. As far as everyone else, you're not going to get 6 turnovers each week, obviously, but if you are opportunistic, if you are detailed in your approach, if you do everything right, you have a chance. If you guys did enjoy this, please do leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.